Battle of Cerro Gordo. The Battle of Cerro Gordo, or Battle of Sierra Gordo, was an engagement in the Mexican-American War on April 18, 1847. The battle saw Winfield Scott's United States troops outflank Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna's larger Mexican army, driving it from a strong defensive position. After United States forces captured the port of Veracruz on March 29, 1847, General Winfield Scott advanced towards Mexico City on 2 April by crossing the Rio Antigua. 261 General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, commanding Mexican forces in the area, had prepared fortifications at Cerro Gordo, near Jalapa, with more than 8,700 soldiers in a fortified defile, dominated by El Telegrafo. 264. These included several batteries under the command of Brigadier Generals Luis Pinzon, José María Guerrero, and Romulo Diaz de la Vega. 264 Scott's leading division, commanded by David E. Twiggs, reached the Cerro Gordo Pass on 12 April. 263. On April 12, Lieutenant Pierre G. T. Beauregard, of the United States Army Corps of Engineers, determined that possession of Atalaya Hill would enable the Mexican position to be turned. The personal memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant observe that, in order to determine whether a flanking movement was possible, reconnaissances were sent out to find, or to make, a road by which the rear of the enemy's works might be reached without a front attack. These reconnaissances were made under the supervision of Captain Robert E. Lee and other officers, all of whom attained rank and fame. Grant continues that it was the roadways constructed by the engineers which achieved victory. Under the supervision of the engineers, roadways had been opened over chasms to the right where the walls were so steep that men could barely climb them. Animals could not. These had been opened under cover of night, without attracting the notice of the enemy. The engineers, who had directed the opening, led the way and the troops followed. Artillery was let down the steep slopes by hand, the men engaged attaching a strong rope to the rear axle and letting the guns down, a piece at a time, while the men at the ropes kept their ground on top, paying out gradually, while a few at the front directed the course of the piece. In like manner the guns were drawn by hand up the opposite slope. Twiggs' division took the hill on April 17, advancing up the slopes to El Telegrafo. 264 Santa Anna reinforced El Telegrafo with Brigadier General Ciriaco Vasquez's 2D Light, 4th, and 11th Infantry. 265 Captain Edward J. Steptoe set up his battery on Atalaya Hill and Major James C. Burnham set up a howitzer across the river. 265. At 7 o'clock am on April 18, Twiggs directed William S. Harney's brigade to move against the front of El Telegrafo while Bennett C. Riley attacked from the rear. 267 The combination easily took the hill, killing General Vasquez, and Captain John B. Magruder turned the Mexican guns on the retreating Mexicans. 267 Simultaneously, James Shields' brigade attacked the Mexican camp and took possession of the Jalapa Road. 267 Once they realized they were surrounded, the Mexican commanders on the three hills surrendered and by 10 o'clock am, the remaining Mexican forces fled. 267. Santa Anna, caught off guard by the 4th Regiment of the Illinois Volunteer Infantry, was compelled to ride off without his artificial leg, which was captured by U.S. forces and is still on display at the Illinois State Military Museum. 268 In Springfield, Illinois, Scott moved on to Jalapa, and William J. Worth's division took San Carlos Fortress on 22 April. 268 Scott then occupied Puebla on 15 May. 271 before departing for Mexico City on 7 August. 274. Cerro Gordo County, Iowa, Cerro Gordo, North Carolina, and Cerro Gordo, Illinois, take their names from the battle. Mexico was represented by the remnants of the Division of the North, totaling 5,650 personnel, 150 artillery, 4,000 infantry, and 1,500 cavalry, including the Ampudia Brigade, the Vasquez Brigade and the Javera Cavalry Brigade, plus reinforcements from the capital, the Rangel Brigade, the Pinzon Brigade, and the Canalitzo Special Cavalry Division. The 1,000 strong Arteaga Brigade, consisting of the Pueblo Activos and National Guard battalions, arrived at the end of the battle. An American ambush was discovered at the start of the battle. However, Mexican lines soon collapsed. Eastern portion of Field Western portion of field.